any harm that might come upon the land, occasioned by any violation of sexual and other taboos, among others by the citizenry. They exact a high price for their services from the guilty in the form of prescribed fines. The reigning Oba of Benin, Oba Adolor, has recently created an OGIV, a rulership for the Ora people, chosen from amongst themselves in response to the prayers of the clan. The Nota and those of Esan and Oba Oba Adolor was born with a malformed dentition. There are so many artworks that people see. There's a particular artwork that the Oba has a malformed dentition, like a protruded mouth. So that's Oba Adolor. So they're referring, that shows Oba Adolor. Oba Adolor was born with a malformed dentition. He had a supernumerary teeth in both the upper and lower jaws, which tended to interlock with the mouth closed. This disturbs his initiation and made necessary the creation of the title of Nohanu, he who speaks for the Edos. This expression roughly equivalent to the Otota or the Urobus, enunciated to the people in a loud speaker voice the desires and opinions of the monarch. A time came when Esige could stand the situation no longer. The Esan were invited from land. When the dental surgery was completed, involving the expert feeling of the teeth, Esige lost his deformity and was able to speak directly to his people whenever he desired. This gradually marginalized the Nohanu chieftaincy title. Oba Adolor was on the throne of Benin. Information brought to him of the rampaging Nupe hordes in the northern territories of the Dolan. So he sent a delegation led by the War Commander EBOHON of Oba village, who was the commander of the Benin armies in the AMAHOR war, which was then being fought by Oba Adolor to contain the succession rebellion of Prince Ogbewekon, the Oba's half-brother, in the southeastern district of Esan. The Benin royal emissary met the Nupe Commander in his camp and delivered the Oba's message. This is what the message the Oba sent to him, Oba Adolor. I hear that you are engaged in the prosecution of the activity of warfare. In your march, I will ask you to look down and note the color of the soil on which you stand. If the soil is red, then know that you are already in my territories and proceed no further.
I hear that.
Accompanying this message was a gift of an impressive number of kegs on gunpowder. The Agalama, which the Benin calls the Nupe, the Agalama commander looked down where he stood and saw that the soil was red. He then looked at the impressive array of the kegs of gunpowder from Benin, and his military mind sized up the situation. He accepted the gift, turned his richly caparisoned horse around, and moved his army back towards the north, to other pastures nearer home. Other relations with our people in 1 o'clock, like the Galas, who we share a very strategic relationship dating back to the very foundation of our existence. Then at 3 o'clock, we have the Benins, the Anosha, the Oshimilis, and the Kas. We don't want to go through much on that. The several controversies surrounding these very unique people have spawned tremendous academic debates as to the origin of these people. The main component of the conference is to continually look into issues of the authentic history of the great Benin descendants amongst the amalgamated Anion people. Then we'll look at the 4 o'clock, Benin and Urogo/the Isoko. These large groups of people who form a sizable portion of the Delta people of Nigeria ethnically belong to the Edo stock. It is thought that they migrated from Benin during the general insecurity of the Republican period in Benin City, between the end of the reign of the last Orisho and the coming of Oromion, son of the Benin exile prince, that is at the end of the first millennium and about 1,000 years ago. The Urogo called the Benin people Aka, a word which features in the names of some very ancient quarters in the city. There is Ogbelaka, the quarters of the royal musicians adjacent to the palace itself, and almost forming a part of it is the Ogbenalaka, where Oba Adolor retired to 200 years ago, when he abdicated the throne because of old age in favor of his beloved son Osifo, who later became Oba of Benin. The rivulet, a tributary of the Oba River, which exclusively supplied drinking water to the Benin's palace for centuries, was also called Ezenaka. The Aka stream. When a satisfactory explanation becomes available for this Urhobo name for the Benin people, some light will be thrown on a few more aspects of the common history of the two people that remains obscure at the present. The Urhobos, like the Esans and the northern Edos, have always looked up to Benin City as their ancestral home. They call the Oba of Benin Oruwakpo, the owner of the world. Before the British colonized this part of the world 90 years ago, the world was to the Urhobo Akporoba, the Oba's world. The word since the British colonization of Benin and her territories has become to the Urhobo Akporo Yibo, the white man's world. The OVA of an Urhobo Soko clan derived the right to rule over his people from the Oba of Benin. The underpinnings of this authority were in the Benin palace until he received the order from Benin. He could not order the execution of any of his subjects. In the second decade of the 20th century, after the restoration of the monarchy in Benin following the death of Oba Adolor in Calabar, the British political officers of the Warri and Benin provinces had a busy time dealing with the difficulties that arose regarding the many newly installed EVA of Urhoboland. I think that's the plural of it. EVA of Urhoboland. Each of these EVA desired to obtain the ritual sanctioning by the new Oba of Benin of his accession to the throne of his fathers. But this would have meant allowing a purely traditional matter to cross the British-made political boundaries of the Warri and Benin provinces. The residents of Warri province felt that the kind of leisure of subordination of Warri to the Benin province, moreover, it detracted from the British-derived authority given to the Ishekiri chief, Dore Norman, to exercise traditional political authority over the whole of Warri province. During this time, the EVA were firmly discouraged by the Warri colonial official from further looking up to Benin. A well-remembered example of a Benin young man who sojourned in Urhoboland and did well in the trade was Edo, son of a Benin chief. He sojourned to Kokori waterside during the reign of Oba Adolor and became immensely rich as a middleman trader. He was invited back to Benin during the reign of Oba Adolor to take up the vacant Iyase title, the vacancy created by the death of Iyase Noheme. He moved his household from Ikpekuri to Benin, accompanied by his great horde of Urhobo wives, children, and Urhobo retainers. He is therefore known in Benin history as Iyase Noduwo, the Iyase that came from Urhobo. In conclusion, they are to the sea where we have the royalty of the Shekiri as well, and some very distinct tribes of the Jaw, Ikwere, Ekpe, Oba, Degeman, and a whole lot more of great Benin descendants, biting at the confluence of Focados and Orashi River. The list is quite humongous for us to explicitly talk about in details as a conference to deal with all of these issues. I welcome you all to your ancestral home and pray that by the power of God and our ancestors we'll begin to take those steps that will further the growth and rise of the once glorious and mighty empire, where great kings have been born and the citadel of the God King, Jehovah of Benin. God bless all great Benin descendants. God bless all great Benin kings. God bless the new nation that will rise Benin. Oba Adolor.